Today we will discuss about calculation context in web intelligence. What is calculation context and how we can apply while we are creating a Webby report. Calculation context, it's like a Webby determines the result of a measure based on the dimensions available in the report and recalculate it dynamically. For example, if we insert year, state, and sales revenue in a table, so whatever the sales revenue that we are getting in each row, it is a by default calculated according to the objects included in the table. So 2014 Colorado sales revenue means it will aggregate the sales revenue values for Colorado for all the months of 2014. So if I include month in the report, it will be distributed according to the month. So we will see month-wise data. We will just add some sales revenue object in the table, but it will recalculate itself and give the value according to the row level. What are all objects are available in the table as per the list included objects, it will give the result. So that is a default nature of any report or web intelligence report. But if we want to change that behavior and if we want to show something like we will add only year state sales revenue, and if you want one column which will show quarter wise sales revenue, and we don't have that quarter in the table, we can achieve those things using calculation context. We can create some variables using some formulas. We can create that. These dimensions make up what is called the calculation context of the measure object or variable. Whatever are the dimensions that are there in the table, they set up a context. So this is the context. According to this context, we should retrieve the result, or we should show the result. It will understand. So calculation context helps define how calculations are to be done in a report. By default, row level calculation is used. User can override the default context of a measure in a report. So we can override the default context by using calculation context concept in our web intelligence. There are two types of context, like input context and output context. Input context is dimensions that are required to be included directly in the calculation. So if you want something to include in the calculation, include in the context, then we will use input context. The input context controls the level of detail in the calculation. So if we want to add some detail, if we only have a year in a table, but we want to see some quarterly results, then we have to include quarter, but we will not include that quarter in a table. Rather, we will include that in our formula, and we can achieve that. Output context is like dimensions that determine where the calculation is to be placed. It determines at what aggregation level the calculation is to be displayed. Syntax is aggregate function, measure, input context. Input context should be in the parenthesis. Output context is outside the parenthesis. This is the syntax. If you see, these are the extended syntax operators, the operators that redefine the calculation context of measure. In, where, for each, for all, we can use these things. Where quarter equal to Q2, like that we can put in formula. In, we can include some objects. For each state, or for each is to, it is an input context. For all is like an output context. For each means we are adding some dimension in the context. For all means we are excluding that and we are making it as an aggregated. And these are the extended keywords available, like do we want it a report level, or we want section level aggregation, or break level aggregation, or block level aggregation, or body. If you see here, these are some functions, these are some objects that are there in our Webby formula section. These are some reference points. That is about context, and it is the most last and most important topic in web intelligence, that is scheduling documents. Actually, we will, whenever we want to see the data, we will go to the report and we will refresh manually. But if the report is very huge, as I told you in the performance tuning of BO reports class, we are not supposed to manually refresh reports on BI Launchpad. if the report is having so much of data, if it is huge, or if it is if we know that we need that report every day or every week, we know that frequency where we when we need, then it is always recommended to use scheduling documents instead of refreshing it manually, which will save our time, as well also it will impact the performance of the it will improve the performance of the system. So for scheduling a document, scheduling document informs BO enterprise to process request at a particular point in time or at a regular interval. So if you schedule and inform some time, predefined time or interval, it will inform business objects enterprise to process that job. Like it is like we are setting up a job and we are defining time or we are putting some schedule to generate that job, execute that job, so that we'll get the required output automatically. For example, if you want a document to be refreshed every month, then we can schedule the document to run each month on a recurring basis. So that is possible by going to that report inside supply chain. If this is the report name, we can select this report. We can click on schedule. Once we click on schedule, we will get a scheduling window. This is a scheduling window. Here, these are the options that are there in the schedule. Instance title, what title we want to show for that report instance, and recurrence, when, how frequently we want to run this job, run object daily or only for now. If we click on now, means that schedule will just run one time now. Once means also once, but we can set now means it will execute at the same time when we run this, when we create this job. Once means it is only run once, but it will ask for us to give the time when we want that to execute once. And if you want it to run hourly, also we can put daily, weekly, monthly, nth day of month. Means if you want that report to uh, execute every 10 days, we can put as a n as a 10th, so that it will refresh every 10th day, first day of month or last day of month or x day of nth week of the month, or we can put the calendar also. This is about recurrence. Under formats and destinations, we will have like which format we want, whether we want that report output to be same as in a web intelligence format, or we want to export that to Excel or PDF or CSV. So we can define formats, and also we can define destination. Do we want the report output to be saved in the same repository of BI Launchpad, or we want that output to send to some users to their mail IDs? So in that way, we can set up the destination also. Caching events means if we want if you have any event job file, if there is any event happened, then it needs to execute like that. And the destination, so it is all about the options that are there in the scheduling window. Destination, it will enable the user to distribute the document to multiple users via email, or it can be kept at a default location. We can send it as an email, or we can send it to BI inbox. Means if I select BI inbox, it will send it to the inbox. Means whoever has access to business objects launchpad, from those users we can select and we can send. Or if we put that instead of BI inbox to email, if the people, if the recipients, they don't have a BO access also, they can see the output in Excel format. If we send them in Excel version to their mail IDs, they can see the data and do their analysis. Format, these are the formats that are supported. Interactive analysis or web intelligence means it is like a normal Webby report, Microsoft Excel or Adobe Acrobat or CSV file. Adobe Acrobat means PDF. So these are the formats that is allowed, and these are the types of destinations that are allowed. Caching, I mean, select the formats to preload the cache when scheduling. Scheduling server groups, which server we want to use for the schedule jobs, use first available server, or we can keep any server that we want. Event-based scheduling provides additional control over scheduling documents. 2 steps are required to work with events: create an event, scheduling a document with an event. Like we have to create some event. If you see, these are the events created, and under events, we have to select some event. So once there is some action happened in this event, then this report get scheduled, not record according to the time like that. Once an event created, it can be select to schedule a document. The schedule job is then processed only when the event occurs. We are now able to schedule the documents. So let's see what are the scheduling options available, our reports which we have created, and see how whether we can schedule. Actually, what we do every time is we will go to the report, and if you see here in the document summary, it was last refreshed on 17th August. So this data is from 17th August. But in our real-time projects, the data keeps loading every day. So the data is not a constant one. We did not put any under properties, we did not put refresh on open. We did not check this option. So it is not refreshing whenever we open the report. It is not even recommended to check that option. It will impact the performance of the system. So what we have to do is we will click on refresh of this symbol and we will get the latest data. Now it got it is getting refreshed. Now it got refreshed, and if you see here, last refresh date is 22nd August. So now it is we are getting the latest data. It is okay for a limited set of data if it is within 1 or 2 pages, or if we are not using this report regularly, we can, whenever there is a requirement, we can go and refresh. But in our real-time projects, our reports are not this small. There are some month-end reports and finance reports where we have a huge data. When we export that to Excel, it will be around some 40 to 70 MB pages of Excel will also be there. So in those scenarios, if you click on refresh manually, it will impact the performance, because this refreshing or creation of report, it is using the processing server of the web intelligence. In web intelligence, we have several servers. Processing server is the one which we use when we are working with the launchpad ad hoc, when we are creating reports or refreshing manually. It uses the processing server. So processing server means multiple users at a time might be creating reports or analyzing their reports or refreshing or whatever they are doing. Everything is depending on the processing server. So if we refresh manually for the huge reports, it will impact the processing server. Sometimes we will get error, or sometimes we will not be able to see the report for hours also. So it is not the recommended process for the reports which we regularly use or which are having huge data. So in those scenarios, what we have to do is, instead of opening and refreshing manually, what we can do is we can go to the report, right click on it. If you see here, schedule, this is the schedule window. Alert activity, this is the instant title. If you want to give some other also, we can give. Recurrence, run object, when we want to run this report, do we want to run now? If I click on now, object will run now, and it will not ask any time or any frequency. If I want to run once, it will ask at what time you want to start, whether tomorrow or evening, any time you can give the time. If you want hourly, it will run hourly. We have to give start time and end time, like by this month end, or next year, when by means what is the start date and end date for this job to run. If it is a daily also, it will ask whether you want it every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or only on Wednesday, weekly. Likewise, you can select monthly. You can give some date every month, nth day of month. These are the options that are available to run the object. Now just I'll put now only. Formats. These are the formats that are supported. Web Intelligence means it will save as a Webby report only. Microsoft Excel means the Webby report will get refreshed and the data will be exported to Excel format. Adobe Acrobat, CSV, plain text, HTML archive, caching. Events, if you want any events to set up. Scheduling server group, do you want to use the first available server or any other server? Destinations, do you want to keep the report output in a default enterprise relocation or BI inbox or email? Means BI inbox means it will send to the users who have a BO access. Their IDs will be created here and we can check by their IDs and we can send to their inboxes. Email, FTP server, file system, SFTP server, like this. Delivery rules. So these are all the options that we have. We will go to one report, element linking activity. Go to schedules. And I'll also show you what is history. If you see history, we will not see anything, no items, because history is there for scheduled reports. So it will show like whenever, how many times it got executed and all the details, it will be there in the history. So right now it doesn't have any history because it is not scheduled. Now I will schedule this report. Recurrence. Now formats. I'll put as a Microsoft Excel, or just I'll put web intelligence. Destination, I can send to any email ID or anyone, but I'll for now I'll keep this as a default enterprise location and I'll run schedule. Now here it is showing the job as a pending. If you see here, the server which will be using is adaptive job server. Now it from pending to it came into running mode. We can refresh and see. As it is a small report, it already got success, so it is got executed. And if you want to see the report, we can see from here itself. The report is got opened. And if you see last refresh date is 22nd August. That is now. Or we can go to this report and go to history. We can see this report whenever we click. Or we can right click, view. If you double click, it will open the latest instance. See, if there is a difference between right click and view and double click. Actually, now we have a option as view latest instance, but I don't know, this is not showing up. But if I just click on and view, it is showing the last refresh, 20th August, means it was a previous instance. If I double click this report, it will show us the latest instance, 22nd August. So in like this, we can schedule the report. This is in a web intelligence format. I will cross tab. I will schedule this report. Recurrence now. Formats, I'll put as a Excel. Destinations, I'll keep default enterprise location, but we can keep all these things based on the requirement, and I'll schedule. Now here it is running. See, this is the type Excel. As I put format as Excel, type Excel, created by best, that is the username. Status is success. Activity title is activity cross tab, and when it got instance time is 22nd August 7:22. So if you click on this success, we can see like what is the type of title of the instance, what is the document type, whether it is success or failure, destination, what is the destination, start time, end time, duration, it was only 3 seconds. And the server which used for this processing is Access Client Adaptive Job Server. And parent object path, where from where we are getting this report, is user folders best Renuka. So likewise, we got this. Now we can see this report from here. If you click on this name, you'll get the report in Excel format. See, it got downloaded here. I'm opening it. See, the report is now exported to Excel format. Or what we can do is also here also we can see the history. From there, whenever we click, we can see the latest instance. If the job is running for around 10 days, we can see 10 instances like 21st August, 28th August, 19th August, 18th August, like that. And we can see up to around 10 instances in this. Or if we double click this report also, instead of opening it in a Webby report, it is showing in a Excel because it is opening in the latest instance. This is the latest instance, which we scheduled it into Excel. So this is about scheduling. Even we can mention some time. Instead of running it now, we can put 7:30. Schedule recurrence. I want it to only once, but I want to give some time. So start date time. Okay, the time. Let's put as a. Now it is 7:25. Let's put 7:27 and see once. Destination, default format. Maybe we will keep this only schedule. So this is pending because I put as a 7:27. Maybe let's see how it changes. It will not run until it is 7:27. It was pending until it is 7:27, and when it got 7:27, it started running, and now it is success. If you see the status when it got started, you can see this start time is creation time is I created at the 7:25 p.m. and in IST, and this is the start time. 7:27 is the start time, and it got ended in within a minute only. So end time is also 7:29 seconds it took, and it is 7:27. So we can set up like that based on our requirement. If we want a weekly report or monthly report, and if we are a person who works on a weekly dashboard, what we can do is we can set up a schedule to run the report every Monday at 8 a.m. or so, based on the data, how long will it take. And once we are starting our work at 9 a.m. in the morning, our report will be ready and we can do our analysis based on that output. We do not need to waste our time by manually going to that and refreshing and waiting for the report to execute, and which will impact the processing server anyway. So that is about scheduling. So with this, we have completed web intelligence, both basic and advanced.